Doug, when it comes to President Raisi, we'll be calling him soon. He's an arch-conservative. We know equally he's suspicious of the US. He's been sanctioned by them. What else do we know about him at this stage?
Well, we know that he has a past which is considered by a lot of people who watch human rights issues closely a very checkered, to say the least, past. He was, look, he's been a part of the judicial system in Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, and he's been really almost a protege, extremely close to the current supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei. And, you know, it's worth noting that Khamenei himself, before he became Ayatollah in 1989, he also was a president of Iran. So, you know, this perch, if you will, this advancement to the presidency for Ebrahim Raisi is seen by many people as a stepping stone potentially to become the next Ayatollah, to succeed Ayatollah Khamenei, you know, after his passing. So right there, but, you know, when I say he's been part of the judicial system, he was most notoriously part of he was a junior member, but still part of what is known in some circles as the Tehran Death Committee, which is basically a committee which back in 1988, at the very end of the Iran-Iraq war, sent thousands, up to 3,000 political prisoners, basically, to be executed, to their executions. And to this day, I mean, he never denies he was, you know, present at the meeting, but he does not, you know, he says he didn't really play a prominent role at the time. He was a junior member of a committee. He wasn't the one making the decisions. But that said, this is a man who much more recently, in the past few years, has been the head of Iran's judiciary at a time where there have been continued executions, floggings in Iran. He is a man who's been hardwired, so to speak, not just to Khamenei, but also to a lot of those hardline positions of the clerical establishment. So he does not get top grades, to say the least, on his human rights record. Now, that said, those who voted for him, they tend to play that down. For them, the human rights record, it's more of an issue with a lot of Western people, Westerners looking from outside into Iran, looking in. A lot of people who voted for him see him more as an effective governor, someone who, you know, has been very strong in his campaign against corruption, saying he would stamp out corruption. They see corruption as a pillar of evil in Iran, something that's making their lives much more difficult. So they see the glass half full when they look at this man as opposed to half empty.
Let's stay with the idea of governance, because the question that many will be asking, certainly those that voted for Ebrahim Raisi, will be, is he the man that can get these crippling sanctions? It has to be said that have caused economic hardship across the country. Can Raisi get these sanctions lifted?
Yeah. Can he get them lifted? Well, first of all roads lead not to Raisi in Iran, but all roads lead not to the president, but to the supreme leader, Khamenei, who I was just talking about. What's significant here, as we know, Raisi and Khamenei are almost like father-son in a sense. You know, it's almost like an adopted son figure. So their spiritual closeness, the fact that they are so attuned on so many positions, the fact that Khamenei really has taken Raisi under his wing, to what extent will that give Raisi perhaps more influence? What we know is that Khamenei has supported the nuclear pact, and he would like to, but as a means to an end here, getting the sanctions lifted. So Raisi, the question is right now, is the fact that he's so close to Khamenei, will he perhaps be much more influential in trying to, since he supports the nuclear deal as well, to get those sanctions lifted, to, you know, be eye to eye with Khamenei on this issue? It might actually make those negotiations easier in the short term. Whether or not he's going to solve Iran's economic woes overnight, spiraling inflation, high unemployment, a lot of economic misery for millions of citizens right now, no matter how much they may, place their faith in him to stamp out corruption, it will be an extremely tall order if on other fronts Iran doesn't open up to the world and remains ostracized in what they see as its support for proxies abroad, its ballistic missile program, and the human rights issues. They can't get beyond that, and the outside world doesn't open up and investment doesn't come in more, then no matter how good an economic governor he is, he's not going to be able to make Iranians' lives that much easier, even if those sanctions are ultimately lifted.
Certainly, as you say, Doug, a colossal task ahead of Iran's new president, Ebrahim Raisi, going forward. Doug, for now, though, thank you.